Welcome back, everybody, to another dicondissectional production hosted by Deathstroke9. Today we're doing something a little bit different, and we're going to be reacting to Beethoven, Moonlight Sonata. Now, I'm not entirely sure that I have not heard this before. I know I certainly haven't heard, I probably haven't heard much by Beethoven, but I know that when I was a lot younger, our school curriculum had us listen to a lot of different classical music. So, I may or may not have heard some of the. I have no idea. I'll let you know if I'm listening and it sounds familiar. I don't know. Unlike most of the music I do on this channel, which is bands with song names, which to me make it easier to identify a song. I couldn't tell you the name of dun 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 dun. But at the same time, I feel like everyone has heard that somewhere at some point in their life. Obviously, that's not true. There's probably many people who haven't heard it, but still. But anyway, yeah. So I'm doing this by popular request. All right, we've had a few people ask me to do classical music, and I want to check out a young girl doing a guitar cover of this song, which a lot of people asked me to see, but I wanted to listen to the actual original composition first. So I'm actually pretty excited to do this, but before we get into it, I just want to say I won't really have, normally I look at the lyrics. I pulled up the Wikipedia page, so maybe we can research it a little bit, but I'm no music teacher. And at the end of the day, when it comes to a song or a composition like this, I probably can only say, "Oh, that sounded cool," or "This was interesting," or I'll probably say what it made me feel. I guess that's a good thing. All right. Anyway, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Daniel, and here we react to music. And this is my first time doing classical music on the channel, so I'm excited. Let's go. Beethoven, Moonlight Sonata. I'm also very happy that it's 15 minutes long. There's 3 movements. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Sounds haunting. Love the complexity of it. rose in intensity. Wow. The dynamics are incredible. Alright, that is almost the end of the first movement. Ooh. Sorry, don't really want to pause it. All right. Sorry, I'm not saying much. The music is definitely conjuring up a lot of images, which is interesting. Like when I first read the name Moonlight Sonata, right? I thought I had an image in my head already, you know. But then when I started listening to the music, that image has changed a little bit. It's like that opening thing sounded very, very ominous, kind of haunting. Now this part, yeah, I'll talk about what I'm hearing in the music itself or what it's making me visualize at the end. But I love the transition from the first movement to the second movement, and man, the first movement was so subtle, and then we had little Like, there'd be little areas where he became a little bit more aggressive on the piano, and then it was pulled back again. It felt like there was so much being held back, which added this like grander than life quality. You can see why Beethoven's considered one of the very greats. But let's continue. I'm gonna bring it back. Oh, turn it up. Last little go. Wow. This is incredible. I can't imagine trying to play this. Oh my god. Very abrupt. Is that the end? Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. 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 So, this has 161 million views on YouTube. That is incredible. Wow. Okay. Here's what I had in my head, okay? At the beginning it sounded almost like a lament, someone who's mourning. But then when it moved into the second movement, my initial interpretation of the first movement changed a little bit. And here's the story I kind of have. It's pretty dramatic, but this is what I was seeing. Is a person who was plotting to, like, bring an end to... Maybe this is because I'm studying history right now in school, and they're talking about the French Revolution. So maybe I'm thinking of that or something, but I'm, like, imagining this, like, this person who's here of a noble heart trying to overthrow a corrupt government, right? And so they are going to have to, like, murder someone who maybe they are, like, attached to that person in some way, so they are kind of sad about what they have to do, and also the guilt of it is hanging heavy over them, and they feel like they're sinning before God, but it must be done to save their country, or something crazy like that. And then the second part is like this ball where people are, like, waltzing and all dressed up, almost like a masquerade ball or something like that. And then the final movement is, like, the act, and then trying to, like, escape. That's just what I was hearing while I was listening to it. Also, I loved how it increased in tempo as we moved on, picked up the pace until that ending, which was, like, mind-meltingly fast. Oh my goodness gracious, wow. Let me know if there's any other classical compositions you'd like me to check out, and we'll see. All right. Yeah. Let's check the Wikipedia page. Again, I'm not gonna have much to say because I don't know a lot about music theory, so yeah, who knows. All right. The Piano Sonata number 14 is in C sharp minor. Is a piano sonata, which is it's written for a solo piano. It's usually written in 3 or 4 movements, although some piano sonatas have been written with a single movement, others with 2. Some contain 5 or even more, so it can be any, but most commonly 3 or 4. By Ludwig van Beethoven. It was completed in 1801 and dedicated in 1802 to his pupil, Countess... this woman. Julieta. Yeah, Julieta. All right. The popular name Moonlight Sonata goes back to a critic's remark after Beethoven's death. The piece is one of Beethoven's most popular compositions for the piano and was a popular favorite even in his own day. Oh, nice. He wrote it in his early 30s after he had finished some commissioned work. There is no evidence he was commissioned to write this. Wow. Okay. The first edition of the score The translated Italian title is Sonata in the Manner of a Fantasy. It could also be interpreted to imply as though improvised. The name Moonlight Sonata comes from remarks made by German music critic and poet Ludwig Rellstab. In 1832, 5 years after Beethoven's death, Rellstab likened the effect of the first movement to that of moonlight shining upon a lake. Which, okay, I can see that actually, definitely. Within 10 years, the name Moonlight Sonata was being used in German and English publications. Later in the 19th century, it's universally known by that name. Many critics have objected to the subjective romantic nature of the title Moonlight, which has been at times been called a misleading approach to a movement with almost the character of a funeral march, and also been called absurd. Does it really matter? I mean, yeah, whatever. Other critics have approved of the name, finding it evocative or in line with their own interpretation of the work. Gramophone founder found the title harmless, remarking that it is silly for critics to work themselves up into a state of almost hysterical rage with poor Rellstab, and adding, what these critics failed to grasp is that unless the general public had responded to the suggestion of moonlight in this music, Rellstab's remark would have long ago been forgotten. Yes, definitely, that makes sense. All right. Consists of 3 movements. The first movement is written in modified sonata allegro form. It opens with an octave in the left. Again, I don't know what all of these things mean. I'm just reading them. An octave in the left hand and a triplet figuration in the right. A melody that Hector Berlioz called a lamentation. Mostly by the left hand is played against an accompanying triplet rhythm, simultaneously played by the right hand. The movement is played very quietly. The loudest it gets is just quiet. And yes, it was. Like, it got just a tiny bit louder and then stayed down. You know, again, it sounded like he was holding a lot back till we made it to the end. The second movement is relatively conventional. A scherzo. Apologies if I pronounced that incorrectly. In Western classical music is a short composition. And trio with the first section of it not repeated. It's a seeming moment of calm written in D flat major. The more easily notated enharmonic equivalent of C sharp major. The parallel major of the first movement's key, C sharp minor. Okay. He is described, Franz Liszt is said to have described the second movement as a flower between 2 chasms. Oh. Yeah, it was short. It was a transition. And something that kind of helped us get into the next final movement. The stormy final movement is the weightiest of the 3, reflecting an experiment of Beethoven's, namely the placement of the most important movement last. The writing has many fast arpeggios and broken chords, strongly accented notes, bass sequences that fall both into the right and left hands at various times. An effective performance of this movement demands lively and skillful playing, great stamina, and is significantly more demanding technically than the first and second movements. Yeah, I could see that. Of the final movement, Charles Rosen has written, it is the most unbridled in its representation of emotion. Even today, 200 years later, its ferocity is astounding. Yes, definitely. All right. That's about all that I can say about this piece. Thank you for requesting it. Thank you for joining me. Let me know what else I need to know down below in the comments, if you want, or just what you thought if you've never heard it before. I said at the beginning that I'd let you know if I felt like I'd heard any of it before. None of it sounded familiar, so awesome. Yeah, the first 2 movements sounded like something I could listen to while studying, like studying music. And then the final movement sounded like something I'd be sitting there intently listening to and trying to analyze. So I loved it. It was all awesome. Thank you for joining me. I will see you guys again soon. Deathstroke 9 out.